Wild, wacky, wet Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and it is a dreary day out. Wade, is it raining where you are?
It is raining. It is yucky. It is gross. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But good day to be indoors and good day to be with everybody here. Wild and wacky wouldn't be wild and wacky if we didn't have a little weather modification to the show today.
No doubt, no doubt. We got a great show today. In our second hour, we will be joined by Ohio State University football radio play-by-play announcer Paul Keels. Um, the Buckeyes getting ready to take on Tennessee in the opening round of the college football playoff on Saturday night up at the Horseshoe, and we will maybe get some insight on from Paul on how he's going to stay warm. It seems to be one of the overriding themes of this ball game. It's December, it's Ohio, it's going to be cold, but as I saw in a tweet yesterday, it's not like Ohio State has played any December home games either. So it's going to be a different experience for the Buckeyes as well. And I never really thought about it like that. I mean, when they're playing this deep into the year, it's a bowl game. It's not in Columbus. So it's going to be a new experience for everybody involved, not just for the volunteers, but we're going to talk to Paul Keels a little bit about that in the second hour. In our next segment, we will be joined by Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media talking little local hoops. We've got some teams that are continuing to do some good stuff and looking forward to talking to Joe about that as we head into the holiday break for a lot of them. So, again, Paul Keels in the second hour, Joe Sullivan in the second segment. We'll also be talking a little National Hockey League action, a little National Basketball Association action, some goings on in the National Football League, and there's more than just the playoffs going on for college football. So we'll be touching on some of that as well. And again, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Wade and I will close the show with the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. So stick around for that. Again, it's hump day and getting toward the weekend, and it's going to be a great show. So stick around for the next couple of hours as we talk local, regional, and national sports.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. We'll cover a lot of ground to get covered, but also a lot of trails to be blazed as we tiptoe into the weekend. 2 more sleeps till the college football playoff is here.
That's crazy. It's been highly talked about, highly anticipated, and it's kind of like Christmas. It's almost here. So let's go ahead and get into it, and let's get started with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Crank it up, boys and girls. The rundown is off, and it is running here on Main Street Sports Today. Girls basketball scores from last night. Let me tell you about them. Smith County with a 51-42 victory over Beach. Blackman all over Columbia, 72-32 last night. Eagleville on top of Community, 53-49. It was East Robertson downing Pearl Cone, 51-46. Giles County sneaking by Fayetteville on the road, 45-39. Forest with a 49-28 win over Hampshire. It was Nolensville 50, Franklin 45. Franklin Classical picked up a 2-0 win versus Glencliff. Keep your eyes on that. Could be a forfeit situation there. Franklin Road Christian with a 35-16 win over Zion Christian. Green Hill with a 61-48 versus Rockvale. Victory, that is. Houston County 57, Harpeth 45. Independence downing Ravenwood 46-25. Portland on top of Joe Burns, 67-47. It was Liberty Creek all over Greenbrier, 75-29. Lincoln County outlasting Lawrence County, 57-50. Moore County defeating Culleoka, 68-37. Page walloping Centennial, 65-9 was your final in that one last night. Riverdale, 54. Tennessee Heat, 19. Santa Fe on top of Battle Creek, 45-8. It was Mount Juliet 58, Springfield 49, Summertown 66, Spring Hill 42. Warren County was a 56-18 winner versus Siegel. Watertown edging DeKalb County 47-38. Westmoreland squeaking by Murfreesboro Central Magnet 32-30. And White House takes care of White House Heritage 42-27.
In boys basketball action on Tuesday night, Beach with a 67-32 win over Smith County. Brentwood in a one-way high-scoring affair, knocking off Summit 92-45. Blackman with a 44-39 win at Columbia Central. It was Eagleville 61, Community 37. The Bobcats of Giles County with a 67-48 win over the Tigers of Fayetteville. Forest 58, Hampshire 28. It was Nolansville edging Franklin 48-47. Glencliff with a 51-46 win over Franklin Classical. Zion Christian with an 80-73 win over Franklin Road Christian. It was Rockvale 54, Green Hill 53. Independence 62, Ravenwood 45. Joe Burns with a 65-52 win over Portland. Liberty Creek down Greenbrier 69-43. Lawrence County with a 56-47 win over Lincoln County. Culleoka defeated Moore County 59-55. Page with a 75-61 win over Centennial. Santa Fe downs Battle Creek 77-24. Lead knocks off Smyrna 61-53. Lead over Smyrna. Summertown 66, Spring Hill 40. Siegel with a 63-59 win over Warren County. It was DeKalb County 49, Watertown 20. Westmoreland with a 54-19 win over Murfreesboro Central. And White House Heritage defeated White House 60-54.
Women's college basketball scores from last night. MTSU with a 74-54 victory versus Cal Baptist. Philander Smith taking care of Fisk 64-46. Cumberland squeaks by UT Southern 73-71. Men's basketball action from the hardwood last night. Tennessee cruising to an 84-36 win versus Western Carolina. Philander Smith edging Fisk 79-76. And in a game and a score that we're kind of working to see if we can figure out what the heck happened. But Cumberland, one website says one thing, one website says the other. A good old-fashioned standoff, Mo, is Cumberland University's website says they have a forfeit victory versus UT Southern men. One thing's for sure, that game was not played on the hardwood last night, so we'll let the record keepers figure out the rest. But more on that maybe later. Speaking of maybe later, something we might dip into a little bit later in this show, the Preds pick up a 2-0, a home shutout victory last night. Was downtown. A lot of angry Rangers fans leaving Bridgestone Arena.
I love it.
2-0. No Messier to save the day for the Rangers as the Preds pick up a final again, 2-0 at Bridgestone Arena.
Today's schedule, doubleheader high school basketball action. Springfield travels to Kenwood. That's a 6 o'clock start with the girls going first. Boys basketball, this says boys basketball only. I question it, but it's the information I've got in front of me. Clarksville High goes to Clarksville Northwest. And then what it says here is a boys only matchup, 7:30 tip. Women's basketball, Oglethorpe and Lipscomb are playing right now at Allen Arena. You can see it on ESPN Plus. Oh, and a good one down in the Bluff City as the Lady Vols travel to Memphis. This is a 7:30 Central Time tip on ESPNW. I'm not familiar with that, but okay. Men's basketball, 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. You've got Austin Peay going up to Ohio University, not to be confused with Ohio State. And at 7 o'clock over at Memorial Gym, the Citadel coming in, taking on the Commodores. You can see it on the SEC network. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top stories, plural, because we're going to try to wedge a couple of them in here, and you will see why we wedge the second one in when we get to it. This morning, it was announced that the Ivy League, which is composed of football programs that play at the football championship series level, but have not participated in postseason play basically ever since the FCS or its predecessor, Division One AA, was formed back in the late 70s. They have not taken place in the postseason. Well, that's going to change for next year. So, I mean, I don't know if once they realize that the championship games next year were going to be held in Nashville, that they said, hey, we need to get to the Music City. And seriously, you do see a lot of kids from this area go play Ivy League football. So I don't think there was a connection, but it's a nice little coincidence that the Ivy League will be playing for FCS playoff positions starting next year. The Ivy League prides itself on a storied tradition of impact, influence, and competitive success throughout the history of college football. We now look ahead to a new chapter of success and to further enhancing the student-athlete experience with our participation in the NCAA FCS playoffs. I want to commend the students on our Student-Athlete Advisory Committee for their thoughtful and thorough proposal, as well as their commitment to the league's legislative process. That from Ivy League Executive Director, not Commissioner, Robin Harris. So, not to be confused with the late comedian either. This past season, the 2024 season, Harvard, Dartmouth, and Columbia were all 5-2 at the top of the Ivy League standings. All three were recognized as co-champions. The league has said that it will develop tiebreakers to determine how its AQ will be awarded should there be co-champions going forward. So the winner of the Ivy League will get an automatic bid to the 24-team playoffs. And with the Ivy League joining the playoff series, the only two FCS conferences that don't have automatics are the MEAC, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and the SWAC, the Southern Athletic, Southwestern Athletic Conference, excuse me, both comprised of HBCUs, and those two conferences send their champion yearly to the Celebration Bowl. Jackson State just beat South Carolina State this past weekend in the Celebration Bowl down in Atlanta. So they opt not to participate in the FCS playoffs. Again, right now there are 10 automatics to the FCS playoffs and then 14 at larges, with the Ivy League opting into the playoffs. That'll go to 11 and 13 now. So I don't know what exactly was behind it other than the kids. Let the kids play, as Major League Baseball said a couple of years ago, I guess. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. And I'm also curious, kind of to your point, is, kind of what changed or what took so long. I mean, Ivy League kind of was also famous for not having a tournament in basketball for a long time. And then, I don't know, it's almost like they were like, well, yeah, maybe we should do this. And for a league full of smart folks, you kind of figured they would have maybe thought about this by now. But it will be fascinating to see, how it shakes out. If anybody has the goods to make a deep run, seems like this year was pretty competitive. And I loved reading this. This was kind of cool. Columbia, is one of those co-champs. It had been ages. It was like forever ago. Like 1963 was the last time that they had won the conference championship. So cool to see them get that. And it would be kind of cool, nerd sense, to see them three schools kind of try and figure out who should represent at the FCS playoffs. And you hope there's been some good teams. I feel like they probably shortchanged themselves at least a couple of wins over the years. I don't know that we're talking about a national champion. Maybe I'm wrong, but be kind of cool. Like you said, let the kids play, man.
I think it would be particularly ironic in a year that the FCS championship game is going to be held on the campus of Vanderbilt University if you got an Ivy League team down here.
That would be something, to say the least. And I don't know, maybe maybe the Ivy League got together and there was another unionization brewing if they weren't careful. Maybe the football team said, you know what, we're getting ready to do like our basketball brethren and toe up to you guys if you don't let us play. We want North Dakota State.
Be
what
careful what you wish for, but yeah.
Really, deep down, they really don't.
No,
but I get the
period.
sentiment at least.
Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Penn, Princeton, and Yale make up your Ivy League. And again, 8-team league. They play some pretty competitive ball up there. And again, they do have a recruiting base. A lot of those schools do down here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. So it would be interesting to see how that was to play out.
I remember Chris Walker from Marshall County. I shudder when I say those words, but yeah, Marshall County, he was a stud, and he goes up to Cornell. Big Red, Andy Bernard is getting excited just bringing up the thought of Cornell maybe advancing to the FCS playoffs there.
Mount Juliet sent a kid to Princeton here not too long ago. I think he went into the transfer portal after 2 or 3 years and came out at Austin Peay. But yeah, I mean, we've sent some Ivy League kids, man, and they've been pretty good players in this area, and they've had some pretty good careers up there. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. This news came across really late in our planning process, or it probably would have been our top story, but it certainly deserves mentioning. Dominique Rogers-Cromartie, former Tennessee State standout defensive back / returner, has been named as one of 6 inductees in the 2025 Hall of Fame class for the Black College Football Hall of Fame. DRC, 11 interceptions in 44 games, 39 of those starts for Tennessee State. 4 of those interceptions were returned for touchdowns. Returned a fumble and a kickoff for touchdowns during his career. Blocked 8 kicks, returned 36 kickoffs for 859 total yards. Couple of career receptions for 46 yards, 2 rushes for 16 yards. His versatility and athleticism were unmatched, cementing his place as one of TSU's all-time greats. And that's absolutely accurate. He is joining who else do we have going in? I don't have that right in front of me because again, we put this together on the fly and I cannot find that. I know former Howard quarterback Jay Walker is also being inducted. And I'm struggling here. Give me just a second, though. I think I can come up with this. Henry Dyer from Grambling, Rashawn Mathis from Bethune-Cookman, Jaquay Nunley from Florida A&M, again, Jay Skywalker from Howard, and Coach Fred Pop Long from Wiley College out in Texas will join DRC in that induction class. And that will take place this summer down in Atlanta, I do believe. I'm sorry. Yeah, June 7th in Atlanta, they will be inducted as part of the 16th annual Black College Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony. They will also be recognized at the All-State HBCU Legacy Bowl in February in New Orleans. That'll be shown on the NFL Network. So, again, congratulations to those inductees and particularly to DRC, who went on to enjoy a long career in the National Football League. 12 years with Arizona, Philadelphia, Denver, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Redskins. 2-time Pro Bowler. Played in Super Bowl 43 with the Cardinals. So 3 indoor and 1 outdoor track and field championships in the Ohio Valley Conference also for DRC. So again, multi-talented dude. And
ain't no doubt.
happy to see this happen for him. So let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company Studios, we will talk a little local hoops with Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 SEER heat pump with the ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
He shoots, and he scores!
Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we're pleased to be joined now by Main Street Media local basketball. What did we settle on? Czar? Joe Sullivan joining us. Joe.
Observer. How about observer?
Observer, recorder. I like
that's very,
it.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed that on the Ivy League jokes. I really wish I was on the air for some of those.
Hey, come on. You know, you've got a long and varied background in the New England area. So yeah, you certainly know more about the Ivy League than we do. All I know is I couldn't get in. But yeah.
Me either. Me either. You think here's the the weird thing about now letting them into the football playoffs is that all their other sports play in postseason. It's like football's the only one they won't allow it to happen. So it just made no sense on the face of it. So it's good they're getting the chance. But I do think the tiebreaker should be they have to solve a difficult math problem. You know, they have to send it out to every team.
See how
who
far they
solves
can,
it the quickest gets into the playoffs. That's what I
see
want.
how far they can carry out pi or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
And they'll show a beautiful mind before kickoff just to get everybody fired up.
That's it.
Hey, look, it's a great league, a competitive league in just about every sport. And you know what a lot of people may not know is that Harvard has the most intercollegiate sports in the country. That student body is active playing intercollegiate sports. It's up in the 40s, the amount of teams they have. And you know, once
hey, real quick, Joe, and Auburn fans, they know a thing or two about Ivy League basketball programs. Sorry for your loss last year to Yale, right?
Yes, right. Yes. And our
publisher, Scott Stewart, is groaning as I made an Auburn joke. That's
you
okay.
punch in the air, right? Yeah.
The only school that has more sports than Harvard is MIT. Again, a school where smart kids are playing sports. And
wow. Okay.
You know, the physical and mental go together. They enhance each other. So it's
Joe,
important.
Let's bring things back a little closer to home. What have you seen the last little bit on the hardwood, and as a lot of these teams approach the holidays, what do things look like?
Well, we saw it was a quiet week last week, Mo, with the exams mostly, so there wasn't much going on. The most interesting win, I think, was Belmont winning at Richmond. Now, this is not a great Richmond team. But just like when we talked about Vanderbilt, we talked about them 2 weeks ago when they were going to Virginia Tech and TCU. 2 winnable road games. It's very important if you can get those. Same thing here. Richmond, winnable game, and they got it. And they're now at 9-2, Belmont. They continue to surprise me, and I think a lot of other people. But of course, this is would be Casey Alexander's chance to say, I knew we were going to be good. Which he did say that in the preseason, like he was confident, like he thought they were going to be good. So I said, boy, your confidence is misplaced, Casey. I can't.
You kind of write it off as coach speak at that time, but there are certain coaches though, Joe, that when they tell you, hey, we're going to be good, because so seldom do they.
Yeah,
you kind of file it away. It's like, okay.
So I was over at Belmont yesterday. I watched practice for a little while, and I was talking to Isaiah Walker. They're starting for it with the beautifully
ugly shot. Yeah.
I actually talked to him about his shot. Even this is a quick aside. I finally got to ask him. His father was a player at Xavier and played in Europe professionally for a long time.
Did he shoot like that too?
No. And I said, what did your father think his shot? He goes, he tried to change me too. But he said that in high school, he made all his shots. Like he made a great percent. So no one's touched it, but yeah, I think someone should have touched it earlier, but it is, I don't know if this is interesting, but one of the reasons I want to talk to him is I think he's jumping higher this year. So like his lift has changed, and and I think it helps him. He's rebounding a lot more, but it helps him score around the basket because he gets so high that his shot is more difficult to block. And so I was talking to their strength coach, Tim Scott, who very much in the vein of Casey Alexander told me I was full of it, that he really isn't jumping any higher.
Well, they measure those things though, right?
He did. Yes,
he could go back and see.
Yes, he did. And they told me he's not jumping any higher. But it is he believes that he's just playing better overall because he's just like so physically fit. Like and it's translated into confidence in his game. And he is a specimen now in the sense that not like bodybuilder sense. He's felt, but he's just really put together with a great basketball body. And if he could just fix that shot, holy cow. But anyway, I got off track there. Anyway,
that's okay.
Belmont, the great individual performance at Belmont was by Jonathan Pierre. This is the 6'9" kid who transferred from Memphis and had a great Division II career at Nova Southeastern in Florida. And he was tremendous on Saturday. with he had 9 assists. I know that, and he also had a 29 points, 9 assists, and Casey's almost using him as a point guard. And I asked Casey about that yesterday, and he says he just makes a difficult matchup. Sometimes when he gets the ball, they will isolate him on one side of the court, especially if he's on a smaller guy, and he can handle the ball well enough to get to the basket for a hoop, and he's an alert passer. So he's very dangerous when he has the ball. So now it almost like it adds another Mark Byington at Vanderbilt loved this, a 6'9" point guard. But he's a good passer, and he can help the offense. So it's just an added dimension that makes Belmont that much better offensively. And also what's going on with this team is like it's not the same guy every game that's making the big plays or scoring. They really have a quality depth. Not sure they have an all-league player, but they have a lot of players that are really of high quality. So,
well, it's interesting that you say that because Pierre was MVC Newcomer of the Week this week, coming off that game against Richmond.
Rightfully so.
28.7 boards, 9 assists, 5 threes in that game. Belmont is undefeated in true road games this season, one of a handful of Division I teams that can play that, but that can say that, excuse me. But he is the third Belmont player to earn MVC honors, weekly honors this season, joining the aforementioned Carter Witt and Sam Orm. So
yeah,
they're getting a little attention. They got a big matchup coming up Thursday, right?
Hey, Thursday night is a great night for local college basketball. This is where I spent a lot of time in Philadelphia where teams used to play double headers at the Palestra.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great basketball venues in the country. And boy, I wish this was a night they had a doubleheader with Lipscomb going to Middle Tennessee on Thursday night, which is a very important game for both those teams. And then Belmont hosting UC Irvine from California. Mm-hmm. And I posted a story on Main Street, Nashville. Like, this is the game where like they find each other on the internet, like it's Tinder for college basketball games. And Casey was lucky enough that the Irvine coach swept right, and so they're going to play each other. And
that's a great analogy. In 2024, that's a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah. And it's a great matchup because like Irvine has won the Big West out there the last 2 years and lost in the conference tournament, so they had to settle for the NIT. So they're the favorite again, and they're ranked 60th in KenPom. So they're coming east to play Belmont and Duquesne, and I think they have to look at it very much like Belmont looked at Richmond. This is 2 winnable games that could help their analytics and possibly move them toward an at-large bid if that upset would happen in the conference tournament again. So this is a team that's an at-large contender. Joe Lenardi in his analytics has them as first 4 out, next 4 out, I think, in a similar case of Vanderbilt because he has a different automatic qualifier for the Big West at this hour. So it is an NCAA tournament team coming in. I think Greg Sage, the top-notch information guy at Belmont, said this is one of the highest-ranking teams to come to play at the Curve Center ever. So it is
highest ranked non-conference opponent.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
right
at 38.
Yeah. So it is. It's going to be, I think, a fascinating game. They're a defensive-minded team. They are ranked 5th in the nation under the Ken Pomeroy defensive efficiency rankings. So they're not as good as Tennessee, but they're not far behind either. And so Belmont being a skilled offensive team, we have the proverbial opposites meeting here. What should be I'm looking forward to it. I just wish I could be in 2 places.
Unstoppable force, immovable object, huh?
Thank you.
Yeah. Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking little local hoops. Let's delve into that Lipscomb MTSU matchup a little bit more, Joe, because Middle coming off a big win a couple of nights ago against Cal Baptist down at the Glass House.
Oh, you called them Cal Baptist. You're not allowed to do that according to the.
Is it CBU?
Yeah, so they and they're in their game notes. They pass out like here's what's acceptable to call us, and for some reason Cal Baptist is not acceptable, which is
So is it either California Baptist or CBU? I noticed Joe Fisher on the women's broadcast last night was saying California Baptist a lot. So they do not like Cal Baptist then, huh?
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of is this is a long time ago. My daughter was in preschool, and we're at the playground afterwards, and this my daughter's playing with a young boy, and I'm talking to the mother, and the boy's name was Matthew, and she goes, "One thing I wouldn't want that, you know, as he gets older, I don't want them calling him Matt or Matty. He's Matthew." And I said, "Good luck with that. Everyone's going to call him Matty and Matthew. Matt, they're not going to call him Matthew. They're going to call him Matt and Matty." And you know, California Baptist. Good luck not being called Cal Baptist.
Yeah, I mean that's and where that really creates an issue is in headlines, Joe, as the three of us can all attest, because we all come from print backgrounds, and so yeah, it's a lot easier to get Cal Baptist in a headline than California Baptist. But also, what they have done is ensured that I refer to them as Cal Baptist on every possible opportunity. It's kind of like TCU. A few years ago, when they lost to Georgia in the national semifinals, they lost their TCU privileges. They were Texas Christian for the longest after that, like it or not. But yeah, but again, seriously though, big win for Middle against that team from the West Coast on Monday night, heading into this Lipscomb matchup.
And the biggest development was Cameron Weston, their point guard, scored a career high 30 points. The game was tied. He took over the game and basically won it for Middle Tennessee. And he was just terrific at both ends of the court. The old Cameron Weston that we saw 2 seasons ago, you know, he's a big 6'4" guard. He can take smaller guards down low and score over the top of them. And he was doing it again. And he was jumping high. He can jump. Like he missed a layup and he jumped right back up and tapped it in. These are the plays we haven't seen from him since he returned from his torn ACL. And I think it's easy for us to say we don't really know, but a lot of it was attributable to a mental hurdle he had to clear in terms of, am I going to get hurt again? And because it's a terrible injury and it's hard to overcome the physical part, but also sometimes the mental part. And he may have crossed the line finally and might become. Look, he was a preseason All-CA. He was supposed to be, I got to phrase this right. Before last season, he was projected to be a first-team Conference USA player, and then he got hurt. If he returns to that type of form and plays to that potential, it's going to go a long way to making Middle Tennessee a team that could contend for the title in that league.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, I got to ask you, you know, we won't get to visit with you between now and Christmas, but we're not all the way at the midway point, but amongst all our area teams, which one has maybe surprised you the most, and who maybe is worthy of a lump of coal in their stocking instead this year?
Well, I think I hope I'm not repeating myself, but Belmont has really surprised me. You know, I wrote a story for Main Street on making predictions for the season at 3 different levels. What if everything goes right? What if everything goes wrong? And then like, what's the reality check? And to me, like like even the ceiling for Belmont, I thought would be 16, 17 wins. And they're going to get, sure seems like they're going to get there comfortably, and they're going to hit that 20 win market for like the 50th year in a row or whatever it is. It's like 20 years in a row, I think, that Belmont has won 20 games. So it is, they are the most surprising team. I think, as far as Cole, wait, I should stop there. I think Vanderbilt's been very surprising too. At 9-1, it's really hard to overlook how well they've been playing. I'm going to go over there today and see them against the Citadel, which should be another easy win. Mark Byington has done a great job there, I think, and they've been off for 10 days though. So I guess Citadel's a good opponent to have. As long as you're playing basketball and not like having combat drills or something. And so that should be good. They should win again, 10 days or not. And so Vanderbilt has been, look, we're talking about them as a possible tournament team. That was unimaginable. So maybe we'll put them in a dead heat wait, there you go. We'll use another horse racing term.
Love it.
For surprises. And the lump of coal has to go to Tennessee State, which, they won their last game against Johnson. And, this is a bad joke I just thought of, Mo. But, you can pick the old comedy bit. You know how Cal Baptist says, you don't call me Baptist. You could show, you don't have to call me Johnson, right?
Yeah, you don't have to call me. You could easily call me East-West of the South. Yeah. Joe Sullivan of Main Street Media joining us here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today. So you're going to Memorial tonight for Vanderbilt and the Citadel. You're going. Did you say where you were going Thursday night?
I'm going to be at Belmont.
Okay.
It's a tough call. I never actually, when the schedule came out, I figured I was going to go to Middle of Lipscomb, but I was just at Middle Monday night for the California Baptist game, and I've never seen a Cal Irvine team play in person, so I can add to my list of schools I've seen play in person, which is I actually compile that stuff, so it add to the list. Seeing Cal Irvine in person.
Anybody else you're going to be checking out between now and Christmas?
That'll be it. That'll be the last. Thursday night will be the last game. Saturday, Vanderbilt is home against Austin P. I'm not going to make it over there to Memorial. That's I think Austin P is we can't underrate them. I mean, that's I think Vanderbilt needs to be paying attention. But again, a winnable game for them. I think.
I'm really fascinated. I think Coach Gibson has done a really good job up there in the short time he's been there, and Hansel Emanuel has really gotten a lot of attention for the obvious reasons. But excuse me, the novelty of his situation aside, kid can play.
Yeah, he can. He can. He's got great athletic ability. He gets up and down the court and he jumps out of the building. It's and to make you would hardly know that he was missing an arm if you at times. It's incredible, and he missed a game recently. I think he was sick, but I think he's going to be back. Hopefully, the people can get a look at him Saturday at Memorial, and because he is one of the great stories in college sports.
Absolutely, Joe Sullivan. We appreciate your time. Have fun over there at Memorial tonight, because again, I mean, you got to be a real basketball head, I think, to go watch the Citadel and Vanderbilt. But that fits.
So I will say this, just one thing about the Citadel. So I wrote this in August for Main Street, the 5 best books written about college basketball, and one of them is about the Citadel, and it's called My Losing Season. By this is where you get old, and now I'm forgetting the author. He wrote The Prince of Tides, Pat Conroy.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize he had written a sports-related book other than The Great Santini, but yeah.
No, he wrote a whole book about playing basketball for the Citadel. His nephew was an assistant at Vanderbilt for a while here, and now I think, and was the head coach at Citadel for a while. That's Ed. And so I would highly recommend My Losing Season about Citadel basketball. It's about more than basketball, of course. His books, to me, he's one of the great American authors. Prince of Tides, of course, Great Santini, and many other books that are just terrific reads.
Man, I saw the movie adaptation of The Great Santini when I was young, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How would you like to have a dad like that? But I mean, My Losing Season, it's available on Amazon for $13.66, by the way. So
it's a good read.
Go check it out.
Stocking stuffer.
Absolutely. Along with that lump of coal for some folks. Joe, we appreciate it as always. Dropping literary knowledge as well as knowledge on the hardwood, and have a great holiday season. And we will catch up with you here probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Everyone have a great holiday season.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, Joe.
When we continue here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, we will get into the grab bag, and we certainly got at least one good item to grab out, and we're going to grab it pretty early. So stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company Studios after this.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will bring you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. And we're getting started on Wild and Wacky a little early, I guess, because the Nashville Predators last night scored a first period goal, scored another one in the third, and got 25 saves out of UC Soros in a 2-0 win over the visiting New York Rangers. That means that Nashville has won 2 of its last 3 games.
Look out.
Yeah, they're on a heater. 9-17-6 are the Predators, which is still, if not the worst, certainly one of the worst records in the National Hockey League. But you're only as good as your last game, right?
Yep. Still tied for last, but kicking and screaming
start somewhere, right?
They don't get double digits by the end of the calendar year. I feel pretty confident in that, sitting at 9 wins now. So.
You feel a lot more confident with that now than you did this time yesterday, don't you?
Absolutely. And like I said, there was a couple sad. I ran into a couple sad Rangers fans downtown last night, and I think when you book that trip, if you booked it in the last month or two, you're thinking, oh, I'll get to go to Nashville. I'll get to see my team cruise in, get an easy win. Preds are horrible. And all that kind of could be true, but you didn't get the easy win part. That may still be pretty bad, but you didn't get the win.
I can certainly see the thought process behind it. Absolutely. Marchessault scored in the first period. And then Adam Wilsby scores with 12 minutes remaining. And again, UC made it stand up. Hope Springs Eternal. I don't know. Who do they have next?
Penguins.
Oh,
tomorrow night. Get Jean-Claude Van Damme will be busting out a little sudden death tomorrow night. That's a random. We should have had that for Top 5 Tuesday. That's a random Neely Christmassy type movie, even though it has nothing to do with Christmas. Hustle and Flow and Sudden Death are on the list, but
Hustle and Flow is a Christmas movie.
the last 2 year Christmas Eves in a row, me and Mary Austin watched that one. Don't ask us why, but we love it. And maybe it just gets us in the mood for Grizz hoops, I guess. Get the Memphis vibes going. But yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme, 94, I think, is the release date. The Penguins, they come in. They're not a lot better than the Preds, Mo, but they are a little better. So if Nashville can get a little juice going, I might walk it back. They might have double-digit wins before Christmas at this point. They got a couple home games coming up. They got them, and then they got the Kings rolling into Bridgestone here before too long. So
okay, maybe they got a chance to get on an actual heater. Then is that what you're telling me? So you're saying there's a chance.
They got the Penguins tomorrow. They got the Kings at home on Saturday. They got the Hurricanes at home on Monday. So they got 3 cracks at home. And yeah, I mean, even if you go 2 out of 3 in those 3 somehow, maybe feeling a little good. And, you know, I'm kind of burying them a little bit here, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hockey is the one sport I feel like momentum can be captured very quickly and can be carried very far. I don't have any data to back that up, just the feeling that I get. And it feels like if Nashville can maybe flip the switch before the end of the calendar year, and maybe get a little juice going into the start of 25, and we'll see what happens.
And again, I mean, they rode that 17-game point streak into the playoffs last year. You feel like something like that is beyond them at this point, but at the same time, you can't count it out. When you go back to the good vibes that this offseason created and the talent that you feel like you got, and obviously when you're dealing with a team that you feel like is underachieving, you don't really know what it is that's going to set them off and get them going in the right direction. But maybe there's something out there. So
maybe. And real quick, the thing with last night too, that good news, bad news. The bad news is you only scored 2 goals. The good news is you somehow found a way to win by only scoring 2 goals. So that's it. You know, it's not your best, but beggars can't be choosers, and it's at least a little chug in the right direction for Smashville.
One step forward. Yeah. Wade, I don't know how much of the Emirates NBA Cup Finals that you watched last night, but the Bucks with a 97-81 win over Landon Secret's Oklahoma City Thunder. What's the takeaway from that?
Kind of like I said yesterday, the Bucks, that's realistically kind of like the Lakers last year, right? That's kind of all. They won their championship. They had to sell out for last night. I think the Thunder, of all the franchises they could have ran up against, the Thunder were probably the one that really maybe wanted to pull off the double, so to speak, as they refer to it in soccer parlance there. But it didn't happen. And Milwaukee kind of got their, the bad part for Milwaukee is that game doesn't count toward the standings. Now they're wishing like, hey, we wish this game would have counted toward the standings too, in addition to the $500K that we got. So good little win for Milwaukee. They're obviously the champs. I didn't even see who was. I'm assuming Giannis or Lillard was named MVP last night. Yeah, Giannis MVP. Not terribly surprising. Lillard has 5 3-pointers in the win last night. I don't know that it's going to be enough to really get them revved up for some meteoric, run. I still think the Cavs and the Celtics are clearly the class of the East, but at least it's a step in the right direction. And you can flock to, your favorite merch store and pick up an Emirates NBA Cup champions shirt for Christmas now.
So these games don't count.
This is the only one. The semifinals and all the other ones did count.
Okay.
Which I find it somewhat odd, but that the semifinals counted, but these did not. And I forget there's weird rules with the stats too, but I do know the standings this one didn't count, but I think even the stats for the season are somehow impacted too. They treat this one kind of purely like a one-off, but I'm like, why, I don't understand why the semifinals were not covered by that logic too, because they were in the book. So yeah, it would have been nice for Milwaukee to have an extra win, especially over the Thunder, obviously. But they'll take the standings. I'm sure they had a pretty good time in Vegas last night.
I'm not sure who's having a tougher time understanding the Emirates NBA Cup and everything that goes around it? Me or 91-year-old Hubie Brown, who will be calling his final NBA game on Super Bowl Sunday when Philadelphia travels to Milwaukee? It was announced earlier this year that he was going to be shutting it down, and now they have found his final microphone assignment. Again, former NBA coach and legend, basketball Hall of Famer, began his coaching career in Milwaukee in 1972. So he and Mike Breen will have that game again on February 9th. Brown has been a two-time Coach of the Year, had stints with the Knicks as well as the Grizzlies and the Hawks. 20 years with ESPN now. 35 years as a national TV and radio analyst, 50 years associated with the NBA, and again, will be shutting it down. The February 9th game will be his last. Goodness gracious. I can't imagine calling games at 71, let alone 91.
Absolute legend. Kind of does stink that it's on Super Bowl Sunday. A lot of folks when this announcement came down were curious when the date would be, and kind of a bummer in that sense. But it'll at least give us something to watch prior to kickoff. And man, one of the best to ever do it. Like you said, all the coaching accolades. Still got his absolute fastball, in my opinion, as far as broadcasting, and going to be sad to see him step away, but good to know that it's kind of seems like it's on his terms.
Yeah. NFL activity. It seems more and more like Mason Rudolph is going to get the start for the Titans at Indianapolis this weekend, but it is definite that Michael Penix Jr. will get the start for the Falcons when the Giants come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday. The Falcons moving away from Kirk Cousins after signing him over the offseason, and man, this is kind of earth-shattering. After Raheem Morris said on Monday, I guess, we didn't play particularly well at the quarterback position. That's the thing that's got to be addressed. Well, damn it, they went and addressed it. They went to the number 8 pick overall. And this was an interesting situation from the very start when they signed Cousins in March to a 4-year deal worth a total of $180 million. And then less than a month later drafted Penix. In fact, Cousins was none too happy immediately by it, and I guess he's even less happy now.
Yeah, and this is a weird one, right? And I mean, it feels like a classic. Yeah, Cousins has been stinky, but it also feels like he showed some flashes early in the mid part of the season where he looked like he had, and I don't know if that's still lingering injury issues that have flared back up, but he has been putrid the last couple of weeks. And, I mean, you can make a strong argument that this move should have been made a couple of weeks ago when they still were very much in control of that division. And I know they faced some good teams lately with Denver, LA, and Minnesota all in a row, 3 really good defenses. But, man, it almost feels to me like the right move, as bad as Cousins has been, but it also feels like maybe a week or two too late, especially that Chargers game. Don't think they gave up an offensive touch. They definitely gave up an offensive touchdown. Feels like the Cousins gave that one away. Man, they're kind of going to be kicking themselves. It feels like maybe not making this move earlier if they're on the outside looking in, unless Tampa Bay drops one.
Cousins' last 5 games, 1 touchdown, 9 picks.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Falcons 7-7 now, a game behind Tampa Bay in the NFC South, which, as you were saying, they were kind of in control of there for a time. And, nobody seems to be slowing Baker Mayfield down. So you got to do something to try to close that gap, because with the way the NFC North is looking, it's division or nothing for pretty much everybody else, and certainly in the NFC South. So if the Falcons have postseason hopes, they got to figure something out, and we'll see if this is the figuring it out. Again, they've got the Giants coming to town on Sunday, and hey,
that's the only thing I think that you can maybe justify. You don't want to throw Penix out there versus Minnesota, one of the elite defenses. Maybe could have trotted him out versus the Raiders. You still got the win on Monday night, I suppose. So it doesn't matter necessarily. But yeah, this seems like a good spot to roll him out versus the Giants. They got to go to Washington next week, which will probably
that's a Sunday night football matchup too.
Yeah, that'll probably
flex that into. Yeah,
that'll probably determine things because the Bucs schedule is pretty dang easy closing the stretch. They got the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Saints, and they need some help there. Atlanta's trying to kind of swing for the fences here, trying to see if we can squeak your Falcons into the division. Tampa's won 4 in a row now. Be nice to get you some NFC South division champs apparel right around Christmas time.
No doubt. Swing hard in case you hit it. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we'll talk a little college football. Don't forget, we've got Ohio State radio play-by-play announcer Paul Keels, coming up around 3:20. And in our final segment, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Stay tuned when we come back.
Nashville's Nutcracker returns to TPAC this December, presented by Nashville Ballet. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets at NashvilleBallet.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, gets going right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. Going to talk a little college football. And yesterday we mentioned former NFL quarterback and phenom Michael Vick was catching some coaching carousel momentum, talking to both Norfolk State and Sacramento State about their vacancies. Well, according to David Teal of the Virginian Pilot in Norfolk, Vick is the Spartans' new head coach. Reported this late yesterday evening and has continued to update it here over the past day. Vic, obviously a native of that Hampton Roads area there in Southeast Virginia, and coming home, agreeing to terms with the HBCU yesterday, and an introductory news conference is expected here in the coming days. Norfolk State has not confirmed this, but everybody else in college football pretty much has.
Yeah, kind of surprised that this came to fruition, especially kind of as quickly as it did. And, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but for a guy that hadn't been a head coach, it is going to be key for this dude to put together a staff to kind of help, you know, build around him, because as you said, it's not exactly a hotbed of football prominence over the years, but kind of cool. And, you know, kind of the trickle down Dion effect here. I know, you know, if the game is on and there's not a lot else going on, I'm probably going to be tuning in, at least in some capacity, to a game now at some point. I don't know if that's the ultimate goal, is just the wow factor, like we're seeing with some other schools looking at you, North Carolina, but at least it's got my attention, especially depending on who he fleshes out with the rest of the staff.
Absolutely. It definitely gets your attention. There is definitely a winning the press conference aspect of this hire. Vic, a 4-time NFL Pro Bowl quarterback, again, a legend in that area, in that state, as a, you know, for his exploits as a player at Virginia Tech and what he's done since then. And he's still got that name recognition, you know, for what he did on the field, having worked for Fox Sports as an analyst since then. Dawson Odoms was the previous Norfolk State coach. The last 4 seasons, program went 15-30. So he was dismissed last month, and this is the direction that they went in. So I mean, he's never coached before. I get that. He has played for Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin, who is also from that area, and I would imagine he had some conversations with some of the decision makers over there at Norfolk State on this. But they've not had a winning season since 2021 when they went 6-5. Each of Norfolk State's last 5 coaches have had losing records overall. And, you know, playing in the MEAC, we talked about them as one of the 2 FCS conferences that don't participate in the postseason, tournament playoffs. But, you know, I would imagine that they are looking to try to, you know, raise their profile a little bit, and you would think that this would do it. So,
yeah, I mean, for Norfolk State, not really much of a downside, right? You hadn't been great. And if you're not great, at least you're getting the cash in, you know, on the legitimacy factor or the wow factor, as I said, kind of to start here. I'm looking this up. They haven't had a NFL draft pick since 2009. So if you can catch lightning in a bottle, get a high-profile recruit. Dion had so many kind of crazy variables working in his favor with Shador and Hunter. I don't know that the formula is going to translate 100% if that's the goal for Coach Vic. But I mean, it's kind of swing for the fences, man. Like you said, if you swing hard, you might hit something here for Norfolk State. And if nothing else, it's going to get a little juice for your program. Definitely, I would imagine your home opener is going to be a little more well attended than perhaps some of your previous ones. So, what do you got to lose, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's it gets some eyes on you, and like you said, for a program that has not had a whole lot of success, particularly here recently, it's kind of a what do you have to lose type of thing. If it doesn't work out, then it didn't work out, just like it didn't for the 5 guys ahead of him. So,
Yeah.
and if it does, then hey, we look what we did. So, Norfolk State set to play at Rutgers next year, at UVA the following year. They open in both 26 and 27 against crosstown rival Old Dominion. So, speaking of juice, there ought to be a little there pretty quickly. So, I'm looking forward to this. I'm also looking forward to us discussing this a little bit more with David Teal tomorrow. So, stick around. Teal is a longtime Virginian pilot writer, probably covered Michael Vick in high school, and so I'm sure he's got some insight into this that very few folks would, and I'm again excited to get him on tomorrow to talk about this a little bit more in depth. Wade, you mentioned Dion. It sounds as though he's got his Shedeur 2.0. Former Tennessee quarterback, former Liberty quarterback, Caden Salter is transferring to Boulder. Led Liberty to a 21-4 record over the past 2 seasons. Threw for 5,889 yards and rushed for 2,006 more. 77 total touchdowns at Liberty. A little bit different style of quarterback than Shedeur. I think he's a little bit more run oriented, but this is certainly a notable development for both Salter and for Colorado, and also for former Summit quarterback Destin Wade, who is currently on the Buffaloes roster.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a good fit. It seems like a decent piece. Good luck, though, Mr. Salter, because I'm not sure if you know this, but Travis Hunter is not returning to Colorado. So unless that offensive line, Shedeur and Hunter kind of drug that team by and large, Jimmy Horn Jr. too, to kind of what they got. But, yeah, good luck unless the offensive line improves, because – man, those were 2 explosive guys. I think Salter is in the same conversation, perhaps, but I don't think he's on the caliber of Shedeur. So seems like a decent fit. It'll be kind of fun to watch. This is kind of, if you want to go down this road, this is kind of when the real coaching perhaps will begin for Dion, now kind of trying to rebuild the program in a sense.
You mentioned that Travis Hunter will not be returning. Colorado will lose its top 4 receivers. So,
good luck, Mr. Salter.
Yeah. Your mission, should you decide to accept it. Yeah. Gonna be.
They signed real quick. They signed another really good quarterback too. This will be. We're assuming that he's probably going to be your favorite to win, but this will be a fun little, not controversy, but fun little job to kind of watch as it kind of goes along next fall in camp.
Yeah, they got Juju Smith. Rated by many as I think the top quarterback in this recruiting class in the country out of Georgia. So yeah, you got him coming in, you've got Salter transferring in, and you've got a kid sitting there, Ryan Staub, who is in the program as QB2, I guess. So yeah, this spring will be interesting. I guess Lewis is going to get there for spring practice. So it'll definitely bear watching as, again, like you said, whoever wins that job, not quite sure who they're going to throw it to. So.
And the sneak up factor is now gone for Colorado in a sense, right? I mean, this year.
I mean, they were right there on the brink of a CFP bid. So, yeah, folks will know who they are this time around. That's for sure. Poor Washington State. In the last year, they've lost their conference, lost their coach, and lost their quarterback. Jake Dickert has been named. We talked yesterday about the Wake Forest situation with Dave Clawson stepping down after 11 seasons. Well, Jake Dickert is the new Demon Deacons coach. John Curry pulled the trigger pretty quick on that. Getting Dickert in there from Pullman. It's a big hire. Again, given all of the uncertainty around that program, going from Pac-12 to Pac-2 to whatever's next for them. So Dickert deciding that this might be a good time to do something different.
Yeah. Washington State still got the juice compared to Wake Forest in my mind, but, money talks, situation, I'm sure there's a lot of unknown, uncertainty up there in Wazoo country. So maybe a chance to just kind of get a fresh start and let somebody else deal with it. Just go ahead and hire Gardner Minshew. Go ahead and get him back home, and let's just be done with this. Let's just go ahead and get him rolling in there.
You feel like that's probably his next step once he does finally decide to step away. So yeah, go ahead and accelerate that. Washington State 8-4 this past season with quarterback John Mateer, who led all of college football with 44 total touchdowns this year, throwing for 29, rushing for another 15, led the team with 826 rushing yards, threw for a little over 3,100 yards. Only two other quarterbacks accounted for 40 touchdowns. Cam Ward at Miami, former Washington State quarterback Cam Ward, now at Miami, had 41 total touchdowns. Clemson's Cade Klubnik, say that 3 times fast, had 40 total touchdowns. So Mateer is in the portal, and Dickert is in Winston-Salem. So it's been a tough couple of days for the Cougs, to say the least.
Yeah, tough break from them, right? They were on the cusp of, sneaking into the college football playoff, and then all they do is go out and lose their final 3 games of the regular season. And then just to make matters worse, lose their coach and their quarterback. So early November, you're daring to dream. And now a month later, poof, everything is unraveled for you guys.
Everything. Absolutely. Congratulations to the Memphis Tigers. They made it interesting, but they got to 11-2 with a 42-37 win over West Virginia in the Frisco Bowl last night, a game that really wasn't nailed down for the Tigers until former Riverdale linebacker, former Tennessee linebacker Elijah Herring picked off a pass in or near the red zone late to stop West Virginia's potential go-ahead touchdown in the final minute or so. And even that got interesting because Herring catches the interception, starts upfield. He's got teammates screaming at him to get down. And right as he goes into his slide, a West Virginia receiver runs up from behind him, punches the ball out. It's loose. Officials eventually decide that because he had started his slide, he was down. I never was clear on who recovered the fumble, but since it wasn't a fumble, it didn't matter. But I mean, again, a lot of dramatics there late as Memphis got the win. Already back-to-back 10-win seasons. So again, finishing up 11-2 under Ryan Silverfield. Big win for the Tigers.
Good win for them, but horrible for us. We had that win on the Wonder Slate there for the taking, and then West Virginia scores late. We had to settle for the push last night, so nobody wins.
Oh, it was 5?
Yeah.
Nice. I had not looked at that. Yeah.
We didn't lose, but it's like kissing your sister, right? I mean, we don't feel great about it.
Well, it's just further proof that Vegas got a pretty good idea what they're talking about out there.
But remember also yesterday, too, we said that line had crept up to 6. So luckily for us, we picked on Friday, because if you were sitting there with Memphis and 6, now today you're really singing the Beale Street Blues.
No doubt. Bowl action continues. Here in about an hour, Western Kentucky and James Madison kick off in the Boca Raton Bowl. You can see it on ESPN, followed at 8 o'clock by the LA Bowl between Cal or California, depending on how big a stickler they are, and Nevada, Las Vegas, affectionately known as UNLV. So bowl season continues. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by Paul KEELS, play-by-play announcer for Ohio State. There's a pretty big game Saturday night up in Columbus. We'll talk a little bit more about it after this.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
He shoots, and he scores!
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neela. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we are efforting to get Paul KEELS of 97.1 The Fan the play-by-play announcer for Ohio State football, to talk a little bit about Ohio State and Tennessee. And when I say efforting, we are close, I believe, to securing the services of Mr. Keels for the next couple of minutes. Big game.
Yeah,
say the least.
the biggest game, and perhaps I think a lot of folks are still anticipating all home teams winning this weekend. I think some folks would even say rather comfortably, but this feels
At
like
least
the
one
one
person
that's
has
kind of
said
up for
that.
grabs.
Yeah. Greg McElroy expects Ohio State to win fairly comfortably, I think were his exact words, actually. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think Indiana's going to give Notre Dame a little bit more. I think they're going to have some juice for that ball game. I know Notre Dame has been playing pretty good ball since the loss to Northern Illinois, but I don't think you can count out the loss to Northern Illinois either. I'm kind of intrigued by the Clemson Texas matchup, and obviously Penn State Georgia going to Happy Valley.
SMU.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yes,
You had 3
SMU,
letters, but
yeah,
SMU.
yeah, not UGA. Thank you. But comfortably is really a big word. I think it's doing a lot of work there when you throw it on all 4 of those ball games.
I'm gonna hold my pick for Friday, but these spreads you got Notre Dame favored by 7, Penn State by 8.5, Texas by 12, and Ohio State by 7.5 currently. So I mean, Vegas is predicting a touchdown or more for every single one of these. And yeah,
and
in a game of this magnitude, I need to win by 21 before I'm feeling comfortable. Having cheered for the Wolverines in the playoffs last 3 years, it ain't over till it's over, and you don't feel comfortable until it is definitely over. So I don't know about comfortable. At what point do I feel comfortable, especially in that Tennessee-Ohio State game, because of all the opposing teams, that's the one team that feels like a comeback could be in the cards. Feels like if Penn State gets up big, SMU might be done and dusted.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like if Texas shows up and clobbers Clemson early, that one might be put to bed. And I don't know. I got a feeling that Indiana's luck has kind of run out.
You think the clock has struck midnight for Indiana?
I just think that they've had a great season and it's been a fun story, but the big major test, they showed up and didn't obviously execute well. And then this will be their second biggest test, and I don't know that they're going to execute well here. But of all those 4 games, Tennessee is the one game where I think either they could keep it close early, or if they do fall behind, I feel like they can maybe sneak back in it. The other ones just kind of, I don't feel quite as inspired with all those teams having to go on the road.
Okay. All right. I do think, though, like you said, I mean, comfortable, again, is doing a lot of work, and I'm not sure what anybody's definition is of comfortable, but at least 2 touchdowns is where you got to get to be comfortable for me, and I'm not sure which of these games does that. So, and again, particularly with Ohio State, with their last showing at the Horseshoe, the least little bit of negativity sneaking in there, and all hell could really break loose, I think. So, with that said, we welcome in 97.1 The Fans, Paul Keels, play-by-play announcer for Ohio State football. Paul, appreciate you taking some time with us and getting geared up on short notice to come on with us.
I'm glad to do it, Maurice, and sorry to be a little late.
No, that's okay, man. We will wait for you. From your end, with everything that has gone on with Ohio State and their performance their last time out, where is this team right now, and what do you see for them, from them Saturday night?
Well, that's been the million-dollar question around here, and certainly a lot of disappointment with how the Michigan game turned out and not having a chance to play for a Big Ten championship. But that's kind of the new world we live in now. Even though they had that disappointment, there's still the goal of a national championship to play for. I know they're thrilled they have a home game and an opportunity to go back out and try and, get the taste of that last game out of their mouth. So the way Ryan Day and the players and the coaches have talked about in their media availability this week is to learn from what's happened, but to move forward and continue chasing that goal that's still out there.
Paul, I'm gonna yield real quick to my co-host, who is a huge Michigan fan, because I'm sure he's got plenty of questions for you.
Well, Paul, I did want to dive right in, and I got two questions. What is the fallout? What is the story? What is the concern or lack of concern with the play calling from Ohio State in the second half? There was a lot of buzz about Chip Kelly and how vanilla they were in that second half of the Michigan game. Is that a function of something, and where do we sit with that in your mind today?
Well, Wade, I don't know if it's a function of anything, and Chip Kelly himself, even in his availability this week, commented basically saying they didn't put the players in the right position to win, and they realized that they can't operate like that moving forward. So they've taken the blame on themselves and realized they need to do what it takes to get the ball to their playmakers. And, by continuing to run the ball between the tackles was running into the strength of the Michigan football team with their front line, especially those two defensive linemen that are outstanding players. So they've learned by what they've said that they've got to be able to adapt to that. One of the comments they made right afterwards was looking in the mirror, players and coaches. So, and it sounds like, Wade and Maurice, that there was a lot of serious discussions right after the game and even shortly after that game about players and coaches being upfront with one another, what they didn't do right, what they need to do, knowing about the talent that they have and the abilities that are with this football team to not have something like that happen again.
Absolutely. And my other question, kind of in the same regard, Paul, was what is the status of Will Howard? And coming out of that game, was he as banged up as it maybe appeared? And did that have anything to do with the play calling in your mind in the second half? Because he got back in the game, but man, it seemed like it was a real challenge for him to try and get the ball in those playmakers' hands in the second half, like you mentioned.
Everything that we were led to believe is that he was fine. And, this university is known for their medical staff and their hospital and things like that. So there's no concern about Will Howard going forward. He was able to talk to the media afterwards, after that game, and has continued to do so. It's understandable why people wondered about that with the hit that he took. But, we've seen other situations in the past year where guys have been held out and not allowed to go back into games, starting quarterbacks for that matter. Years ago, there was a situation with Craig Krenzel where he got knocked out of a game and Ohio State had to stick with a backup quarterback and was able to win a game at Penn State. So there's been a standard set as far as the medical people taking priority there. So, we've been led to believe that there was no concern and there's no concern going forward.
Makes sense. And that was just something that kind of was stuck with me because I could see Kelly going a little more vanilla in the second half if he didn't maybe have a fully functioning Will Howard. And to your point a moment ago, when they ran the ball right up the middle, it was running right into the strength of Michigan. So I'll be curious. That to me is the biggest matchup is what has Ohio State's offense learned or gained from that Michigan loss to kind of maybe get back to where they were earlier in the season.
Well, Wade, I think some of that also had to do with the fact that he had thrown 2 interceptions. And the win was a little bit of a factor in that football game. It's certainly not a factor in deciding it. But they might have been a little gun shy with putting the ball in the air. But when you've got the receivers they've got, you would think not. But certainly that is, the other concern, as you guys know. Ohio State's lost 2 starters and 1 key backup on the offensive line to season-ending injuries. So that's been an adjustment they've had to make during the season, and it's an adjustment they're going to have to continue to make going into this postseason.
Paul KEELS, Ohio State play-by-play announcer, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Paul, as we've talked to other folks about this ball game, we get the impression it's going to be a little cool in Columbus on Saturday night. And again, as I said earlier in the show, there was a tweet that really just kind of screamed out to me here in the last 24 hours. It's not like Ohio State is necessarily used to playing in this type weather in Columbus this time of year either. So what impact would you expect the weather to have? Is there an advantage for Ohio State? Despite they walk around in it maybe, but by the time they're ready to play a game this time of year, they're in Tempe or in Pasadena or wherever else it is. They're not in Columbus.
I don't think there's really an advantage, Maurice. And, the forecast, I just saw it before I came on with you guys. They're saying Saturday, a high of 22, a low of 17, but dry. So no rain, no snow, nothing like that. If there's wind, that could be a factor. But, to use the line that coaches use, it's the same for both teams. It was darn cold here for that Michigan game a few weeks ago, but it probably will be a little bit colder. But it's the same for both teams. And, guys that have played at a high level, like my partner, Jim Lachey, he says, for the guys that are playing, it's really not a problem. You're out there working up a sweat, you're banging into people. It's the guys that aren't playing that are standing there that are probably bothered by it the most. So, it sounds like it's going to be cold, but it's going to be dry, and let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah, you can take cold and wet. Yeah, it gets pretty nasty pretty quick. Yeah. Again, obviously there was some angst over the last game, and obviously a lot of blowback for this coaching staff. Has that calmed down any, or what would it take for the stands to get kind of nasty Saturday night, do you think?
I think, Maurice, it's calmed down some, especially as this game gets closer. I think people will get more focused on what's going to happen this Saturday than what happened 3 weeks ago. But, you have to consider adding to all of that is that they've now lost 4 in a row to Michigan. You look at Ryan Day's record, he's got an incredible record. He's lost, 5 Big Ten games, 4 of them to Michigan. The other one was to Oregon earlier this year by 1 point in Eugene. So he's done an outstanding job, but he just hasn't been able to get over that hump other than his first year against Michigan. I think people forget that, prior to that streak, Ohio State had beaten Michigan 8 in a row. So these things are cyclical. That's going to happen. And part of what makes that rivalry so good that sometimes not always the most talented team wins. Think all the way back to 1969, Bo Schembechler's first year. That was one of the biggest upsets in the history of that rivalry. So there's still a lot of angst to it. There's a lot of people that feel that Ryan Day's job's on the line with what happens here. The athletic director has come out and said, no, Ryan Day's safe regardless of what happens. But he's done a remarkable job, but there's nobody that feels it more than Ryan Day, his family, those coaches, their families, and those players.
Paul, I got to ask you, when this matchup comes down, not necessarily you as a play-by-play man, but if you're an Ohio State fan, coach, supporter, what do you potentially like about this matchup versus Tennessee? What do you potentially not like for this matchup in the first round?
Well, Wade, I'll start with the last part you mentioned. The not like is everything we hear about how strong Tennessee's front seven on defense is played. If they are as good as Michigan, and Michigan's was darn good, that could create a problem, especially with an offensive line that is making up for having lost key players. And where will Ohio State make the adjustments that we talked about earlier offensively to not run into that strength? What encourages you is the fact that this Ohio State defense at times has really played some outstanding football. And I know that Tennessee, especially Nico Iamaleava, has been a little inconsistent at times. But with the pressure that Ohio State's defensive line can create, the play that they've gotten at various times from their secondary cornerbacks and safeties, it's a defense that can really do a great job of causing disruption. And the other thing, too, prior to the Michigan game, they had 3 straight games where they made big impact special teams plays. A punt return for a touchdown, some blocked punts, and forcing a bad snap on the punt. Mm-hmm. So if they can get those kind of plays generated, then that helps their chances.
Paul Keels, play-by-play announcer for Ohio State, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Paul, really appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and stay warm.
Oh, certainly will, Maurice. My pleasure. Glad to do it. Nice to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, the final segment, it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Wade and I will bring you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Stay tuned after the break.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new, handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
It's the final segment of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That means it's time for Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Wade and I bringing you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Let's start in Wyoming. Well, actually, let's start in Utah.
As we always do.
But hey, there has been a surprising Utah impact on this segment and on this show for the last little bit. But Utah, specifically the rescue mission of Salt Lake, is where 91-year-old Michael Black wound up at Thanksgiving. Now, 91-year-old Michael Black is a dementia patient from Wyoming who had wandered away from home and hitchhiked. And it was at this rescue mission where Michael Black's wife, Avril, saw him during a segment on a news broadcast from the Salt Lake City area that extends up into Wyoming. They were doing something about feeding people in need at Thanksgiving, and she just happened to see it and says, wait a minute, I'm sure I saw Michael. Paused the TV, ran it back, and yeah, sure enough, there he was. Michael had been missing for 3 days before he showed up here and just happened to be on screen during this TV news segment. How lucky can you get right there that she just happened to be watching the news and saw him? They weren't even talking to him, just saw him. But apparently his movements have been tracked from Wyoming through southern Idaho and into Utah before they kind of lost track of him. And then he showed up at this rescue mission having dinner among other folks, among other homeless folks. And she saw it. She called local officials and was able to get reunited with her husband the following day. But I can't imagine how scary something like that is when particularly with a dementia patient. I mean, he just wanders off and you got no idea where he was. He's 200 miles away.
That is crazy. And, we've had stories of pets returning and, some great reunitings. This one is extra special. And, I already mentioned The Office once on this show, but it reminded me of Phyllis's wedding episode where Uncle Al just wanders off. And they eventually get him back where he needs to be too. But luckily it ends up with a great story here. But yeah, I can't even imagine, right? You're sitting there and you're like, wait a second. Not just, I know that. I mean,
right.
That is mind blowing to think about.
It really is.
Your wife is sitting there and she's like, wait just a second. That's my hubby right there. That's Michael on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously glad that worked out the way that it did. Again, had to be a really harrowing event and tough few days for her. So the Western Michigan community of Muskegon, Michigan has a singing Christmas tree. Features a 180 student high school choir. They have a stand in the shape of a Christmas tree. It's 67 feet tall that these kids get on and they sing holiday tunes the Mona Shores singing Christmas tree. I'm not going to be on the 15th row. I can tell you that.
No, thank you.
The singing Christmas tree is 100% a spectacle, director Sean Lawton said. He has directed the high school choir and overseen this show for 3 decades. Freshmen near the bottom, sophomores and juniors in the middle, and seniors above them. No, sir. Nope. Put me down there with the freshmen. I'm good. That is pretty amazing in all seriousness. The 50-member Mona Shores High Student Orchestra surrounds the tree and I guess provides the instrumental accompaniment for the choir. But that would be something to see. It would not be something for me to participate in. This is, again, the 40th year that they've done this.
Yeah, I'm out on participating, but I support the endeavor, and this puts our little Giles County mingle jingle to shame. But I'm gonna have to talk to some of the folks at the chamber and see if we can't drum something up for next year. I don't know that we'll be able to get 180 kids worth, but man, that is 15 rows tall. Yeah, I'm out on that. 67
feet. No, I'm good.
Nope.
No, that's not happening.
I'm clumsy enough. That's one false
on the ground.
Yeah,
I'm clumsy enough on the ground. 67 feet up. No
way.
Holiday must see for area residents increasingly draws fans from other states and even countries. Yeah, I would, if I were in the area when that was going on, that's something I would want to see. Again, not something I would want to participate in, however. Speaking of Michigan, 13-year-old Chuck Hildebrand checked out baseball's zaniest stars from the Warren, Michigan Public Library in 1974 as a 13-year-old baseball nut.
Mm-hmm.
Went home, read the book, never returned it. It was due back on December 4th. Hildebrand tried to return the book here recently, and the library said, you can keep it. No fine. 50 years he has had this book. When you're moving with a bunch of books, you're not examining every book. You throw them in a box and go. But 5 or 6 years ago, I was going through the bookshelf and there was a Dewey Decimal library number on the book. What is this? Yeah, well, I don't even know that Dewey Decimal is still a thing, but apparently the library director told the Detroit Free Press that they have forgiven the book and the overdue fees for it. So now Hildebrand is instead trying to raise $4,564 for reading is fundamental. That would represent his overdue library fine for the book. Good for him.
Yeah,
trying to make wrong a right.
Trying to do it. When I first was scrolling through this story, I thought that it was going to tell me that was the amount that this book was selling for on Amazon as on eBay. And I was like, whoa, now you're on to something here. But yeah, props to Hildebrand for trying to do the right thing and then going above and beyond to try and get it there.
You know, as Hildebrand's trying to raise almost $5,000 for reading is fundamental, there is an unidentified individual in Kentucky who might be able to help him out with that. A guy specifically in Ratcliffe, Kentucky, recently purchased a Kentucky Lottery scratch-off ticket that earned him $40. He plowed 30 of that $40 back into a Break Fort Knox ticket and won $3 million. Again, name not disclosed. He scratched this ticket, the break Fort Knox ticket at the Elizabethtown Kroger. Started scratching off the amount, and I saw the skinny dollar sign and the 3, and I about passed out. I had to do a double take, a triple take. I pulled up the app and scanned it. It said, "Congratulations, you won $3 million. Claim at Kentucky Lottery Center." That's when it got real. So again, he it's a $3 million prize. They either pay out $150 a year, $150,000 for 20 years, or a lump sum payment, which this guy opted for, and I don't blame him. Lump sum of $2.244 million. After taxes, he received a check for $1.6 million. Off of $30. Well, yeah, $30. $30, 1.6 mil. It's not a bad day.
Not bad. And I'm going to, I'm trying to get on that guy's Christmas list.
For sure. Says he'd like to pay off debt, travel, and invest. Yep. I feel you. That's awesome. Merry Christmas to that guy.
Absolutely.
And, lighter news. Wade, I don't know if you have a big green egg or not. Do you?
No big green egg.
Okay. Well, the company, which is based in Georgia, marked its 50th anniversary here earlier this fall by smoking some wings. 655 pounds of wings, setting a Guinness World Record for, what is it specifically? The largest serving of chicken wings. It was part of a celebration of their 50th anniversary. So again, used 47 big green egg, extra large Kamado style grills. 655 pounds of wings. I don't know how many wings that is, but it sounds like a bunch. And sounds like a heck of a celebration there, I guess. Again, 50 years for Big Green Egg down in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And they, served a bunch of them at the celebration of the 50 years, and then donated a bunch more to various nonprofit organizations and that kind of thing. So I'm still trying to imagine what 655 pounds of chicken wings looks like, though.
Yeah, I'd like to see a zoomed out picture of the final product here.
Yeah,
and,
just throw them all in a pile, right?
Man, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. My invite to this was lost in the mail because
clearly
I could do some damage. I don't know if I could roll up 600 pounds worth, but I could do some damage.
655 pounds, 12.8 ounces, almost 656 pounds of chicken wings, grilled on 47 big green eggs. Pretty impressive performance there. I'm just glad that this pig in Pennsylvania didn't wind up on a big green egg. Pig on the loose for a month in the Ben Salem Township was finally captured earlier this month in a humane trap and will be put up for adoption. Porky was taken to a pig farm there where he was would be examined by a vet and then put up for adoption. No details on from where he got loose, but he was loose for about a month. Police asked the public to keep a lookout for said pig in mid-November, and again, he was located earlier this month and will be adopted out. So I guess whoever lost him doesn't want him back. I don't know. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. It's a good looking pig. He needs a good home. Yeah, as far as for the Christmas holiday, give him a good spot. Got the officers posing with him, looking all nice. I love Porky made it safe and is at least in good standing right now.
Absolutely, and good for him. Glad to hear that. We typically talk about animals and the dangers that they can be to humans. A Virginia man has died on a hunting trip after a bear that one of his partners shot fell on him. Yeah. And right in the middle of this, I get a prompt that I've got to enter an email to continue reading this article. Yeah.
Wild and wacky.
Yeah, exactly. Timing is everything. But Lester C. Harvey of Phoenix, Virginia. Again, he was part of a group that was following the bear when it ran up a tree. As the group retreated from the tree, one of the hunters shot the bear. The bear falls out of the tree 10 feet. I'm sorry, the bear falls out of the tree onto Mr. Harvey, who was standing about 10 feet from the bottom of it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Married, 5 kids, 8 grandkids, self-employed contractor and avid outdoorsman. I mean, you're just hunting. Somebody shoots a bear. He's with you.
Yeah.
And the bear falls on you. That's rough. And y'all, for those of you who are uninitiated, bears are typically pretty big. So I don't know why you would be shooting the bear with one of your partners so close to the bear.
Yeah, not good.
It doesn't sound like great hunter safety right there. I'm not a big outdoors person, so I don't really know, but that sounds a little off to me. Anyway, our thoughts are with Mr. Harvey's family, and that's tough. That's going to do it for Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll be joined by Lipscomb girls basketball coach Becky Starks and the aforementioned David Keel talking Michael Vick. We'll see y'all at 2 tomorrow.